Welcome back to Kin in Line. I estimate that this is part 35, but I could be wrong. Anyway, we're in the media center in the Kimberley Army Base in around 1980-81. So the stock of drawings from the era doesn't seem to be diminishing, so I'll keep ferreting around and see what we come up with. I had a colleague there who was Sol, I mentioned him earlier, who was quite an expert with the egg, what do they call it? We spray on paint with this thing, paint gun, I don't know. Anyway, and so he had used this piece of paper to just kind of test his thing with. And I picked it up and sort of sketched this figure on it and incorporated his little sprayed colors into the drawing. So it actually works quite well. And then I also looked like I've used some different color felt tip pens, or koki pens as we call them in South Africa. But yeah, adding a bit of color often just brings a drawing to life, and this one certainly works for me. And it's always nice to combine different mediums. So here we've got two sketches in pencil, and then this bold one in felt tip pen in the middle. And again, I'm just sketching guys wherever I encounter them, and it doesn't really matter that this is on lined paper to me. It's just actually adds to the authenticity. You could probably trace this piece of government issued paper from these numbers, Maybe this was a secret document that they were desperate to get their hands on. So here's another of my colleagues. Now, this guy would have been nicknamed Bartman because he had a medical condition, probably concocted, which enabled him to grow a beard. And so he didn't have to shave like the rest of us every day. Still in that media center, and here's a guy with a pencil in his mouth. Another chap seen from above. I don't know how I drew that, because he looks quite low down. Maybe I was sort of an out-of-body experience, but anyway. So again, these drawings in, mounted and exhibited together could make quite a powerful statement. So this is Lance Corporal Craig Glenday, as I recall. You can see the one stripe on his arm there. So he headed up he was a 2IC of the media center and then became the full corporal halfway through when the other guy who was in charge left. I mentioned earlier that sometimes when you're drawing with the page flat on a table like this is, and the guy's ahead of you and you're drawing without looking down at the page much, you're drawing what you're seeing and transferring the lines onto the paper. But the paper isn't isn't sort of parallel with the image. So you end up with this elongated image, which is quite bizarre in itself. So if I were to move around like this, that's probably more how he would have looked. But since I drew him like that, he becomes elongated, which is, I think, error of parallax, something like that. Yeah, this is when you just have to always be at the ready to capture a pose, and so this guy might have sat like this for 2 minutes maybe. And so it was just a case of trying to get as much of the pose down as possible. Yeah, just on a scrap of paper that I got, somehow laid hands on. I remember this guy, Terence Cater, big lad with his, clearly got some sort of quite thick army issue coat on as he paints away. I remember he did this thing that would have been a little container with his paint in it, but he did this quite large thing of a bear, and it was a real anti-Soviet Union sort of postery thing that was put up in the mess or somewhere. Look at the little hand clutching that paintbrush. Another sort of composite, and really I do have no qualms there. And that would be Mr. Glenday again with his one stripe and a couple of other oaks. So we did a lot of weird and wonderful things, and this was a page in which I had to design a poster for a variety concert, Kimberley Theatre. This was probably 1980 or 81, or 1980, because 81 I was out by August. Adults 2 Rand, presented by the Army Ladies Association or something, in aid of SADF funds. Yeah, sure. Another colleague, another variation on the poster, and a quick sketch of a chap drawing or writing or working. So I enjoy filling a page with different images, and here we got 2 quick sketches of colleagues in that media center. It was only a small room, really, probably about 5 meters by 5. And in the one corner, there were a whole series of shelves with paper and stuff on, and those are berets hanging on pegs. And here, working on Sol's sprayed paper, is in fact a drawing of Sol, whatever his surname was. And I don't know who Bruce Coleman was, but his name got entered into the record here. But again, I quite enjoy the effect of it drawing over this sprayed effect here. And here again, it's just sketching a bit beyond being natural, sort of straight from life, by incorporating these other sort of abstract shapes, just to add a bit of interest. I mean, it was all done without really thinking about it, just creating compositions, I suppose. And then a very quick pose with a pencil, few lines, and you've got a guy shoulders sort of hunched a bit, working away there. Another chap with a beard, seemingly, or a moustache. Very rugged looking creature. Somebody had a bit of fun. I don't think I wrote that, but so can you see the profile here with a sort of black background? Then there's a T-square, somebody reading, leaning and reading. And then this little chirp, 2 out of 10 come and see me after school. Oh. Another sort of simple sketch, just capturing the pose of obviously a young guy. I mean, these guys, some of them were still in their late teens, straight out of school. Having avoided the army for so long, was like about 22 or so when I finished, 23 maybe even. No, 25. Yeah, I would have turned 25 when the year I finished. So I mentioned in a previous one that there were these 2 guys that were clearly gay and nobody cared a damn. And this is them. I seem to have sketched them at a jointly at some point. Might have to leave it at this final drawing here. So this is in the media center, and you can see just a desktop sort of thing. Some paper down below. Yeah, this was where what does it say there? Oh yes, our first corporal in charge of us was a guy called Kelly Schimmel from Maritzburg. And he created this poster, "You must speculate to accumulate," which I found quite interesting. I think his family owned a service station in Maritzburg. Anyway, that's it for now. Cheers.